Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Last week I showed you how to write your own unit study. And after I published that video, I got quite a few comments asking me, how do you actually plan the unit study? Meaning, if you are writing a unit study or if you have one that's already written, how do you go about implementing that into your daily homeschool routine? So I thought that today I would share with you 3 different methods that you could use in order to do that. These are 3 methods that I have used. Does this mean that this is the only way you can do it? Absolutely not. There are so many different ways that you can do everything when it comes to homeschooling. But these are 3 ways that I've done it that I found to be simple, because simple is my middle name. And my kids are commenting upstairs somewhere. But anyway, simple's my middle name. So the things that I'm going to be showing you today are really very basic, and that is how I like things. But before I get into that, I do want to show you that I mentioned in the last video that I had written a unit study and that it was going to be published soon. And here it is. It is my Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone unit study. I am so excited because while I write unit studies all the time, I have never actually published one in a print copy. So this is like a big deal for me. So I just wanted to share this with you. It's available on Amazon and it's $8, and what it includes is vocabulary words. Again, this is for the first Harry Potter book. You'll see some vocabulary words here, and then there are over 100 activities to do with that book. I think when I counted there were about 130 activities to do. And I'll just really quickly show you close up that I try to do this for those of you who are type A and really like to keep things, listed and checked and everything. I have it listed what chapter the activity pertains to and what subjects it covers. So anyway, that's just a little glimpse into this. I will leave the link to this in the description box, but I just wanted to let you know because I'm really excited about this. So anyway, the 3 ways that I have used to plan out our unit studies has actually morphed over the years. It just really depends on what is going to work for us at that time. And I'm going to tell you that when you first start doing unit studies, you're going to have to tweak things quite a bit. You're not really going to know right off the bat how many activities your kids can handle or if they can handle more. And it might have to just shift around a little bit until you find something that's right. With us, we started out with 4 unit study activities a day. Then it went down to 3, and then it went down to 2. And actually, we're at 2 now, but it actually works very nicely with us. Sometimes we will do 3 unit study activities if one of the other activities was really short. We'll do 3. But that's what's working for us. And different kids can handle different lengths of time when it comes to doing things like this. So you really just have to watch your kids. But anyway, the first way that you can plan out your unit studies is, for example, I'll use this because I have it right here. Say you have a unit study, it's already written, and you know that, well, you might not know, you want to figure out how long do you want to spend on this one unit study. So say if you want to spend 4 weeks on a unit study, what I would normally do is I would then go through the unit study and I would mark off all of the activities that I'm interested in doing. That's why I really like print copies of things, because I like to make little pencil marks. But anyway, so that's how I do it. I will go through and I will put like a little star or something next to each activity that I think that my kids would enjoy or that I really want to try with them. After that happens, what I will usually do is, now for this you would have to do a little bit different because you're going chapter by chapter. For a unit study that is just subject-based, say for example, if it's on the American Revolution, you can basically figure out how many activities was it that you put a star next to. And say if you starred 15 activities that you really wanted to try, and you wanted to do a 4-week unit study. Now, if you're doing a 5-day week times 4, that would mean that you would need at least 20 activities, and that is only one activity per day. Or if you do a 4-day homeschool week, that would also work out to you would need 16 activities. So you would have some options. You could either add some of your own activities or maybe some videos that would fit in there, or you could opt to do the unit study maybe 3 times a week. That's really up to you, but that is the first way that you can figure out when you're going to do the unit study and how you're going to do it in your homeschool, is by figuring out how many weeks do you want to spend on it, how many activities did you find. Now, say for example, if you want to spend 2 weeks on it and you found 20 activities that you want to do, that would work out to about 2 activities per day. You would do 10 activities the first week and 10 the second week. So it's really just about adding a little bit of math in there and figuring all of that out. Now, I used to do things that way. The way that I do things now in my homeschool is I don't actually assign a certain length of time to our unit studies anymore, because I found that was really restrictive. So what I actually do now in our unit studies is I will go through the unit study and I will just see what it is that we want to do. Now, since I know that my kids can handle 2 activities per day, what I will usually do is I will go through. Now, this is our CONUS unit study that we use a lot, as you can see. And so what I'll do is I will go through it. I will find an activity that we want to do, and I will write down the number of that activity in whatever section that we're going to be doing. For example, this is the scientific method unit here. So say if I wanted to do 3, I would write down number 3. I might give like a little brief description of what it is, just so that I have an idea of when I look back on it or I'm trying to plan for the week what I'm going to need. And then I'm going to find another activity. So I've written 1. Now I just continue going down. I find another one that I really like. I write the number for it. I write a little bit of a description, and that's it. And you can do that for a week. You can do it for 2 weeks. I would really say that you don't want to do it for more than maybe between 4 maybe to 6 weeks at a time, just because life happens in homeschooling and things don't always work out the way that you think they will. So actually, if you even notice on mine, I don't even put dates. I just put D1, D2, D3. That just means day 1, day 2, day 3. And typically D1 means Monday. But if D1 ends up being on a Tuesday, I'm okay with that. I just don't put dates just because I don't like to have to change everything around all the time. So after you put down, say, the 2 units or the 2 activities that you want to for that day, what I usually do is, if I notice that the activity that I'm going to be doing covers either language arts or math, we will skip our language arts and math for the day, because I should remind you at this point that unit studies are cross-curricular. You do not need to use a whole slew of separate textbooks with your kids when you're doing unit studies. That's why they're created, because they cover all of the subjects. But a lot of people really do like to supplement language arts and math, and that is what I do. I do language arts and math, and then we do 2 unit study activities per day. But sometimes there's a bit of overlap in there. You might notice that the activity that you have chosen for that day might include some math. And so you can actually opt to not do their math book that day. Or sometimes you might notice that there's, a lot of writing involved, or they might be doing something else that's language arts based. So you might choose to skip your language arts for that day. So that is what I do. So I'll do that for the first day, and then I go back then I'll continue down the list and go to day 2, and I'll find 2 activities, write down what letter or number they are, and then I'll write down if they have to do language arts or math that day. And if you notice, this is actually, I have this written down. This is going to be our Christmas unit study for this year. Yeah, that's actually in a few weeks we're going to be doing this Christmas unit study, because the week before Thanksgiving is our last week of school, and then we're off for 6 weeks because of our 6 weeks on, 1 week off, and then 6-week winter and summer breaks. So I can't believe it. We're going to be doing our Christmas unit study in like 3 or 4 weeks. Time is flying. Anyway, So this is it. And you'll notice that I do have 2 activities. Now I do have John 3:16 written there just because that's their copy work for that day. I have 2 activities and I wrote math. So apparently that means that language arts is going to be covered in their unit study activity. So again, that's really all it is. And I'm hoping that I'm explaining this in a way that you understand it. You just go through the list, find an activity, write it down for that day, find another activity, write it down, and then just write down whether or not they need to do language arts and math that day. And again, just you might have to tweak the number of activities. You might want to start out trying maybe 3 activities a day and see how your kids go with that. But again, that's really up to each individual family. So that is the way that I usually do it now. I usually just go week by week. Now, the last way that I am going to show you is if you have a huge unit study like this. Now, obviously, you're not going to get all of this done in 1 year. This will last you at least, I'd say, 2.5 to 3 years. Okay. Now, typically unit studies are they're smaller. You know, they'll cover maybe several weeks to a couple of months, but that's usually how unit studies are. But when you have something that is this big, and when you're planning on using this all year long, what I have already done, because I get in these moods where I really feel like planning. And so what I find that has happened is I have actually, just because I felt like it, planned out like an entire year of unit study activities just because I wanted to. Now, does this mean that I have to do them this way? No, because a lot of times I end up not doing them in this specific order, because a lot of times we will take a break from CONUS for a while and do something else. But what I actually have written in here, I have an entire year's worth of CONUS unit study activities. And that actually makes for really easy planning, because even though it does take a while to do this, the whole year's worth of activities, all that I have to do then is open up this book to wherever we're at. Say if we, okay, right here was the Christmas unit study. You'll notice, because I did this one last year. This is the Christmas unit study. So all I had to do was open up the book, and then I just wrote down each thing that I had already picked out. So I didn't have to worry about going through this book all over again. It was already here. I already had chosen everything that I wanted to do for that particular unit study, and I wrote it down. And that really is a time saver if you can get that extra allotment of time to write all this out. Don't feel that you have to do it this way. Again, I just did it because every once in a while I get in a mood where I just want to plan. So that's what I do. I will plan out a whole year of activities, and then I will not, I don't, again, do not stress if you don't stick to it exactly. I don't. I just use it as a referral, because then I already have a year's worth of activities that I know I want to try. So I don't actually have to keep going back through this book. They're already there. I just open up the book. It's there. I just write it down for the week. I hope that I explained this to you well enough. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment. Again, I will leave the link to this in the description box below. If you have any tips on how to plan unit studies, I would love, any additional advice. That would be fantastic. And I hope you have a great day.